Welcome to the Pandemonium Witches podcast, where the ADHD has just a touch of autism, where the true crime is as scary as the hauntings and unsolved cases. But the hosts never stay on topic for long. I'm Kat.
I'm Rachel.
I'm Em.
And I'm Meg.
Keep your arms, legs, and other extremities in the vehicle at all times, and enjoy the show.
Good mornings.
Good morning. Do you know... Oh, there we go. Hello.
Hello.
Do you know how many cows I have found?
How many?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14. And he stuck them in like random drawers on top of clothes.
Well, because that was his quest to do while we were recording yesterday.
Oh, he's probably going to do more today. Oh, honey? Yeah? Can I have my coffee? I think I need some creamer in it.
That was a big old groan to get up.
Shut up. We have to keep it PG. Uh-huh. So, I woke up this morning and I freaked out because I thought I thought that I hadn't posted the videos that I had edited or the audio that I had edited.
Oh.
So I'm sitting here going, oh my God, it's 8 o'clock. And then I went on the Spotify website and Apple.
It was there.
It's already posted. I was like,
oh, good.
Oh. Okay.
Just, panicking for no reason. Got it.
Pretty much, yeah. And then Sarah, our lovely Sarah, the florist, she was like, I wanted to make sure that you have enough episodes. And I was like, oh, yeah, October. You're fine. She was like, what?
Right.
Like, don't ask. You're fine. Thank you, baby. Welcome. And of course, my straw has to match my cup.
Of course. That's how that works. He just walks away.
Can I have a smooch?
Hi, brother.
She says, hi, brother.
Hi, sissy.
While I'm recording?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a smooch before you go.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to go right now. Okay.
She's going to make up for lost time.
Yeah. So, for Josh's birthday, Rachel bought him a fuckload of crows. So, we numbered them.
Completely random numbers.
Can't say that. And I stashed them all over the house.
Yeah.
He hasn't found all of them. He's found 5.
Well, he hasn't exactly been looking, has he, either?
No. There's still 3 in his office. And I have 2 in here on my altar.
Uh-huh.
And then I have 3 on his altar, I think.
Uh-huh.
I love your cup.
Oh, thanks.
I had that.
It's got an energy drink in it.
I had that same mug, but
Mm-hmm.
when I worked for the hospital, I was running down a flight of stairs and I fell and it
Exploded.
And needless to say, the head surgeon was not too happy with me after that. But
Because you were running down the stairs and dropped your cup?
because I splattered chocolate, pineapple. Chocolate.
Chocolate pineapple is good.
Chocolate pineapple is good. Chocolate peppermint mocha all over his shoes. And they were like $200 running shoes. I'm like, first of all, why are you wearing that to surgery?
Right.
Second of all, why are you wearing them in a hospital?
That part.
You wear like throwaway shoes.
Exactly.
Have fun. Okay. Make sure they don't shave your beard.
That part.
Yeah. He's going to the tiny little Vietnamese lady that does his hair.
Okay. And he can gladly tell her that she no longer has to shave his beard.
Right. Now he does she does a skin fade.
Yeah.
So we only
obviously, tidying up the back of his neck.
Right. Right. So for the month of October, we're down to last 3 episodes.
Yes.
So we have today, the 28th, and then we have the 30th, which is our Halloweeny episode, which we have, I think, all of us on.
Halloweeny.
Yeah, Halloweeny. And then
Yeah,
November
because
1st.
Meg popped in.
Yeah, Meg pops in for a minute.
Which we love.
So what are we talking about today?
So I've got the Pukwudgies.
Bless you. What are they, like little like Star Wars puffies?
Not quite. So She Who Shall Not Be Named included them in
She Who Must Not Be Named. Oh!
Sorry. I accidentally hit the wrong button and my screen's completely flipped and I was just like, wait, hold on.
Good job. Good job. Way to go.
So she includes them in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Uh-huh.
I haven't covered this before, have I?
I don't think so. Let me go to my descriptions.
Okay. Because I have a little deja vu feeling. And I'm just like, wait, hold on.
I know we talked about them. I think they're... No.
Okay, cool. I was like, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but
No!
we've done so many cryptids that...
Yeah, we've talked about quite a lot of cryptids. Our thing for I think we've talked about, hold on, let's see here.
I've talked about a lot of little creatures in woods. So that's probably why it's a little deja vu-y.
9, 10, 11. We've talked about essentially 22 cryptids.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So
it doesn't seem like it's been that many.
Well, we've done 2 cryptids per episode, I want to say.
Roughly 2. So yeah, no, that makes sense.
Right.
Okay, anyway, so
Pukwudgies.
It is also spelled Puk-Wudjie.
Bless you.
Yeah. Translated by Henry Schoolcraft as Little Wild Man of the Woods That Vanishes.
No.
Right.
I'm good.
D&D real quick, because it's getting to the point, it's getting to the time where family is going to be waking up shortly. So I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and do this.
I have to exit out of my web browsers because otherwise everybody messages me on Messenger.
Mm-hmm.
Except for my folks. So if I
Right.
keep Messenger up in the background, it'll start going ding, ding, ding.
Right. That was weird. I just heard an echo of myself.
Good job. Well done.
That's weird. You know. Anyways.
Pukwudgies.
So it's a little human-like creature of the Wampanoag folklore. I'm really sorry if I mispronounced that. Found in Delaware, Prince Edward Island, and parts of Indiana and Massachusetts.
I've gone to Prince Edward Island. It's very nice out there.
Yeah, that area in general is
Quite nice.
it's pretty.
Yeah.
Especially during the fall.
Oh yeah. That's when I went.
Because leaf change.
Yeah, it was a wedding. It was absolutely beautiful.
Oh yeah. So they're said to be about 2 to 3 feet tall, which is about 0.61 to 0.91 meters.
Mm-hmm.
So fairly small.
Fairly tiny.
Yes. According to legend, they can appear and disappear at will, shapeshift, of which the most common form is a creature that looks like a porcupine from the back and a half troll, half human from the front and walks upright.
No!
They lure people to their deaths, use magic, launch poison arrows, and can create fire.
So it's like a dragon, like a teeny tiny little.
Pokey dragon
Yeah. Yeah.
that walks upright on two legs.
So it's like which one did I cover later?
I don't know.
The Fresno Nightcrawler. The Fresno Nightcrawler. Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. We discussed that in a
So-
later episode.
The Native Americans believe that the Pukwudgies were once friendly to humans, but then turned against them and are best left alone. Well, no shit.
I mean, if I was coming to the human race, I would hate us as well.
Same though.
Yeah.
And that's why aliens don't deal with us, because
Right.
we are a horrible creation.
Most humans, yes.
Yeah, this is true. Most. According to lore, a person who annoyed a Pukwudgie would be subjected to nasty tricks by it, or subjected to being followed by the Pukwudgie, who would also cause trouble for them.
No.
They are also known to kidnap people, push them off cliffs, attack their victims with short knives and spears, and to use sand to blind their victims.
Pocket sand.
Pretty much.
Oh, I'm going to hell.
I mean, we all are, so.
Well, yeah.
We're doing caravan, so.
We're going on a trip.
Okay, anyway, so Pukwudgies are said to be the enemies of cultural heroes, the great Mashop and his wife, Granny Squanit. Granny Squanit, or Squant, is a mythological figure from Wampanoag folklore. She is the wife of the giant Mashop and can be either a small woodland or sea creature, depending on the telling. According to legend, she is one of the Makiwasug, and healers would often look to her for help or guidance. She is a powerful sorcerer, and arguments with her husband are said to cause storms.
Wait. That is so cool.
Right? Like, we need to talk to her about the recent hurricanes, ma'am.
Listen, if she's controlling the hurricanes,
It's like Pudge.
Right.
Controls the weather.
His name is
Speaking of which,
Pudge.
I need to do a peanut butter sandwich. Because the recent water weather is a bit too much. Moving on.
Do you know what tuna is? It's fish!
Fish! Legends of the Pukwudgie began in connection to Mashop, a creature giant believed by the Wampanoag to have created most of Cape Cod. He was beloved by the people, and the Pukwudgies were jealous of the affection the natives had for him. They tried to help the Wampanoag, but their efforts always backfired until they eventually decided to torment them instead.
That's not nice.
Nope. They became mischievous and aggravated the natives until they asked Granny Squanick, Mashop's wife, for help. Mashop collected as many as he could. He shook them until they were confused and tossed them around New England. Some died, but others landed, regained their minds, and made their way back to Massachusetts. This is the story. Satisfied he had done his job and pleased his wife, Mashop went away for a while. In his absence, the Pukwudgies had returned. They again changed their relationship with the Wampanoags. They were no longer just a nuisance, but began kidnapping children, burning villages, and forcing the people deep into the woods and killing them.
Whoa.
Yeah,
No.
they just yanked it up several notches.
Let's not and say we did, because why?
Right.
That's rude.
Granny again stepped in, but Mashop, being very lazy, sent his 5 sons to fix the problem. The Pukwudgies lured them into deep grass and shot them dead with magic arrows. Enraged, Granny and Mashop attacked as many as they could find and crushed them, but many escaped and scattered throughout New England again. The Pukwudgies regrouped and tricked him into the water and shot him with their arrows. Some legends say they killed him, others claim he became discouraged and depressed about the death of his sons, but after these events, Mashop disappears from the Wampanoags mythology.
Well, maybe because he was a bad person and the Pukwudgies stole children?
Yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't him?
I mean, the Pukwudgies supposedly killed, his sons as well. So
Oh, well.
he got a little depressed on it and
just
disappeared from history.
Okay. Well, most people who disappear from history are because they're bad people.
This is true. Folklorists have pointed out that stories about the Pukwudgies originated among the Ojibwe people in the Great Lakes region of the United States. However, I'm limiting what I could find to the Massachusetts Pukwudgies.
Right.
Mostly around the Cape Cod, because that's where I had the most information from. So, according to the earliest stories, they lived in the saltwater marshes around Paponeset Bay, south of Mashpee. They were warlike people possessing powerful magic, and they built homes among the tall marsh grasses and organized themselves into 7 bands, a chief over each, with an even more powerful head chief, a great magician, according to folklore, which presided over the 7 lower. Basically, you had governor and then basically king kind of thing.
Right. Typically, and in Native culture, people would be like, oh, low man on the totem pole. Low man is actually good because they would typically put the chief at the bottom and like the jester, the bad person, that was pretty much the laughing stock, up at the top because that's where the doo-doo would drop.
True. Also, because the higher up you are, the more eyes are on the person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The more you know,
it should be
shooting star.
Right. So it should be noted that nowhere else in earliest stories are the Pukwudgies described as creatures, cryptids, or troll-like. They're always called little people or pygmy people.
Okay.
It's only like further on is that they turn into these troll-like creatures.
Right. So what is the basis that it probably was indigenous little people?
That's quite possible. And then as the stories went on, they started changing because oral stories, things start changing.
Right. That's typically with telephone,
Yes. So their tribal organization with handfuls of Pukwudgies forming smaller bands within the larger tribe mirrors the Wampanoags' own social organization, which again emphasizes their similarity to human beings, which is again, like we were saying,
right.
Maybe they were, pygmy people and things happen.
Right.
So the most important difference between the original Massachusetts Pukwudgie and the beings people encountered in the Freetown State Forest is that the latter are largely solitary.
I mean, yeah, okay.
Hikers and dog walkers who've come upon them always describe them as standing alone in the forest. While such behavior might be the norm in a story about a cryptid, it's a little odd that a magical being who operates in groups would always be seen alone.
Right.
It doesn't quite make sense. So then it's kind of like the about the velociraptors in Jurassic Park. You see one, but they're surrounding you.
Right. It's
they only let you see the one, so you focus on that one.
Clever girl, Easy
Yes.
breezy, beautiful, clever girl.
Exactly. Which it would make more sense because if they're hunting in a group, they're letting you focus on the one so that way you're distracted and the rest can sneak up behind you.
Right.
So the Pukwudgies and the Wampanoag stories are never described in isolation or being alone. They're always in bands. So it would make sense, again, reiterating that, hunting in groups.
Right.
This reflected the Wampanoag's own way of life, which for centuries comprised of families and villages connected to a larger community. which it makes sense because you need your village.
Right.
Admittedly, the first Pukwudgie in Ojibwe folklore was a man called Wat Days A's Amid, I'm really sorry if I mispronounced that, who remained the size of a child and withdrew into the woods to live among the mountains and rivers. He was the ancestor of all the Pukwudgies. However, once the race was established, the Pukwudgies lived and acted in groups. So again, kind of reiterate what,
Right.
we were discussing earlier, that, it was an actual thing. It just, over time, they created this cryptid
right.
of stories.
Kind of like the Bigfoot.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Which
it was probably, at one point, was probably a fur trader that had all of his stuff, living out in the woods, got very hairy, carrying all of his packs of fur, looked like covered in fur, and the story grew from there.
I mean, I have the notes, but I haven't finished it. I'm finishing the notes for Loch Ness first, but
yeah,
it's the notes for Bigfoot. I have pictures from not of Bigfoot, mind you, but California is huge for Bigfoot and Sasquatch and all that other things. But it went from one small thing.
Yep. To being completely blown out of proportion.
Right.
And because the areas that they always say, they see Bigfoot, skunk ape, those kind of things, it's areas that were big on fur trade.
Right.
Where, trappers were going in and getting these furs to then sell. And so it would make sense that somebody encountered somebody kind of in the dying sunlight or something, carrying all these furs.
Right.
And their mind played tricks on them and started the story, and it just spread like wildfire.
Well, and I mean, we talked about it on the Dark Watchers episode and how light plays tricks.
Oh yeah.
On people's eyesight. I mean,
especially if you're tired,
right.
You're dehydrated, you're hungry, your brain is
misfiring. It's constantly misfiring if that's the case,
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, back to the Pukwudgies. Little side trip.
I mean, it's they come to us for the ADHD and the autism. They stay for the laughs. True. They stay for the laughs.
Oh yes. So in his collection of Native American folklore from southern New England, William Simmons pointed out that Pukwudgies function in the Wampanoag stories as thinly veiled stand-ins for white people. Which I could see. Magic arrows, guns.
Yeah.
I mean, this could be seen in their tormenting the Wampanoag and their attack on the tribe's magical protector, who represented the Wampanoag's ancient way of life. Although the Pukwudgies are small, their magic is powerful and turns out to be unstoppable. Mashab becomes so angry with them, he tries to drive them from Cape Cod. All of these story elements reflect the Wampanoag's justifiable resentments with white people. It makes sense. So the modern Pukwudgie differs from the portrayal that exists 100 or so years ago. In 1910, when an illustrated edition of the Song of Hiawatha was published, the Pukwudgies appeared in the illustrations looking like little children or pygmies. These illustrations were not Ojibwe productions and may therefore require some analysis and correction. However, the Pukwudgies' appearance in these paintings seems much closer in spirit to the depiction found in older folklore, for they are clearly little people.
Right.
And then in 1982, when Jean Fritz published her influential children's book, The Good Giants and the Bad Pukwudgies, the Pukwudgies resembled tiny gray-skinned trolls with large black manes, which would kind of seem like porcupine quills. Ever since, people have portrayed Pukwudgies as troll-like cryptids. I did find two different illustrations of them. I'm not going to cover the fact that, you know, they're in Fantastic Beasts and
No.
where to find them, because they're just kind of mentioned in that.
Right.
I found information on indianahistory.org, obviously Wikipedia, New England folklore, which is a blog spot, nativelanguages.org, which talks about them. Obviously Cryptid wiki, but you can never fully trust what's on that one.
Right.
There's homespunhaints.com, / what is the Pukwudgie?
Right.
And then the problem with Pukwudgies of Massachusetts, Faeries of New England, the little people of the hills and forests, which the website is fairiesofnewengland.com. So like there was some interesting stuff on it, but like I truly think that they were originally people that moved to like kind of recluse themselves, and then
Right.
Created families and everything, and created like their own thing, and then it just kind of went from there. But yeah, that's what I got on the Pukwudgies.
I mean, they sound like native pygmies.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things of
we don't know for
right.
sure, because we can't go back in time, and
I mean, that'd be great,
right? That would be fantastic. I would love that. Like, not to change anything, but just to ask questions.
Just to be like, I'm really curious.
Right.
About this one thing. Can't we talk about this, I
would also bring back some of the clothes.
Listen, I love the clothes of the 50s. Very silhouetted,
Oh, yeah.
Very nice. Don't like the mentality of the 50s,
Oh, no. I saw a video the other day of people that were enjoying, the clothes and stuff, and I think I might have sent it to you, and it's like, you can enjoy the products, but not the mentality.
Yes, that.
And I was like, yes, like
that
I love
girl.
the products, not the mentality of that time.
What's her name? Soul. She's a professional Viking. They used her image when they were creating Vikings.
Oh, love that.
I've been following her on Instagram since, I want to say 2007, maybe?
Okay.
And she is phenomenal, like from
love that.
What I've done, like my research on her, because like I was doing research for some hairstyles for a friend of mine for her wedding, and I'm sitting there going, man, she's amazing. And I had ended up posting a video of her, and one of my friends was like, oh my God, I've been following her since like 2020. I was like, she's been around a lot longer than that.
Right.
Like she
only caught big traction after the whole, Vikings thing.
After Vikings came out, yeah. And it became a huge,
a huge thing.
A huge thing. So I started research this morning.
That's fine.
But I was like, I'm gonna make sure, this gets done. So sorry about that.
Give me a second.
Okay. There are apparently 150 cows I have to find in my house, and I've only found less than 20.
Back. The generator kicked on for its cycling, And
Yeah.
so I was like, what am I hearing?
So, I have a question for my cryptid today. Would you like American or European?
I mean, I do like European, but I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
I don't know.
Josh,
Yes.
American or European?
Let's go, American.
American. Okay. Go all the way up to the top. All right. So, you just did one side of the United States, right?
Yes.
I'm going to do the other side.
Okay.
California coastline, of course. You know how I love my big California coast because she's big.
Yeah.
We've seen this guy in numerous movies, comics, memes, and commercial. He even has his own truck brand and soap company. Do you want to take a guess? No.
No,
We're talking.
not really.
We're talking about Sasquatch.
Oh my god.
So, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, also known as the skunk ape. I can't tell you how tall they are, but often reported, suspects say that they are, when they're full grown and male, can be anywhere from 7 feet to 10 feet tall.
They're really tall.
Fairly tall. Fairly tall. All of the research that I have suggests that is adorable. It's Mothman. They have him at Build-A-Bear. They have Mothman and Sasquatch at Build-A-Bear.
Yes.
So, Bigfoot, also commonly referred to as Sasquatch, is a large, hairy, human-like mythological creature that is said to inhabit forests in North America, particularly the Pacific Northwest. Bigfoot is featured in both American and Canadian folklore since the mid-20th century and has grown into a cultural icon, permeating pop culture and becoming a subject of its own distinct subculture, which is huge in American communities. I actually have a picture of myself. Let me... here we go. Oregon trip. I went to Oregon and... where I found out my ex-boyfriend was cheating on me. Yeah, it's this one. I like how I remember that as, so we went to a place called the Tree of Mystery. Let me go here. And this was a bronze sculpture of Bigfoot.
Where people have rubbed his face.
Yes. Paul Bunyan. It was at the Tree of Mystery. So, this was the Paul Bunyan statue. It's been around since like the 50s, I want to say. He's huge.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's not that far away from the Oregon coast. Let me just put that.
Okay.
I hated that trip. I paid for the whole thing. $5,000 later, I hated myself.
We live and learn.
Yeah, you know. Bigfoot, awesome. Also commonly referred to as Sasquatch, which is a soap company. It's a very good soap company, and it's vegan, and it does not hurt animals. So, love that for them.
Right.
Did a little bit of research on that. It smells good. They have this pine one. Kind of smells like the early version of Old Spice from like the 80s.
Oh.
Yeah. I was like, way to bring back core memories. My grandfather used to wear that smell. So I was like, I really just want that. Just so it's like a pine and spice blend. Anyways, smells good.
Yeah. Okay.
So Bigfoot also
Not me going to go buy it just for the smell.
Also commonly referred to as Sasquatch, is a large, hairy, human-like mythological creature said to inhabit the Pacific Northwest. It's featured in both American and Canadian folklore. Enthusiasts of Bigfoot, such as those with the pseudoscience of cryptozoology, often have various forms of dubious evidence to prove their existence, including anecdotal claims of sightings as well as alleged photographs, video, and audio recordings, hair samples, and casts of large footprints, which I did get a picture of that. See if it'll allow me to paste. No, obviously not. So screen grab it is. Here you go. So that is from
Whatever works.
That is from the museum that I went to when I was driving up to Oregon. Let's see here. However, the scientific consensus is that Bigfoot and the alleged evidence is a combination of folklore, misidentification, and hoax rather than a living animal. Folklorists trace the phenomena of Bigfoot to a combination factor of sources, including the European wild man figure, which is Bushman, folk tales, and indigenous cultures. Some examples of similar folk tales of wild, hair-covered humanoids exist throughout the world, such as skunk ape in the southern United States, the Almas, the Yeren, and Yeti in Asia, Australian Yowie, and creatures and mythologies of indigenous people. In indigenous folklore and mythology, there is pretty much a wild man who's covered in furs of different types of species. So it's not just like one type of fur. Wishful thinking, a cultural increase in environmental concerns, and overall societal awareness of the subject have been cited as additional factors. Bigfoot is often described as the height of 6 to 9 feet, with some descriptions having creatures standing as tall as 10 to 15 feet. You guys should hydrate if you haven't been drinking water already.
I have been.
I'm glad one of us is. Some alleged observations describe Bigfoot as more human than ape, particularly in regards to the face. In 71, multiple people in Dulles, in Oregon, filed a police report describing an overgrown ape, and one of the men claimed to have sighted the creature in the scope of his rifle, but could not bring himself to shoot it because, quote, it looked more human than animal.
I mean, valid.
Right. I mean, it could have been a guy in a ghillie suit, which we'll get to that later. Common descriptions.
Like the guy that sits in the plant in
yes, he's based in Texas.
San Antonio.
Yes,
he does San Antonio a lot. It jumps out and scares people. I love his.
So
videos.
he lives near San Antonio. So he's done Austin, Dallas, San Antonio. I really want him to come out to Killeen just to do it out there. He does the
river walk a lot.
I know. I really wanted to see him do it one of these days because Josh would have probably punched him. So
he's been punched several times.
I know.
It wouldn't be the first time.
So common descriptions include broad shoulders, no visible neck, long arms, and many skeptics attribute to the misidentification of a bear standing upright. Some alleged nighttime sightings have stated the creature's eyes glowed yellow or red.
Interesting.
However, eye shine is not present in humans and other known great apes, and so proposed explanations for observable eye shine off the ground of the forest include owls, raccoons, possums, and them perched in foliage, because they don't see them outright, they see them in trees.
Yeah.
Michael Rugg, this is where I went, the owner of the Bigfoot Discovery Museum. It's kind of small, but it's kind of cool.
I mean, size is all in the mind of the beholder.
You know, it's not the size of the craft, it's the motion of the ocean.
Exactly.
Michael Rugg claims to have smelled Bigfoot, stating, imagine a skunk that had rolled around in dead animals and had hung out in garbage pits.
Hence why the Florida one is called skunk ape.
Skunk ape. The enormous footprints for which the creature is named is claimed to be as large as 24 inches long and 8 inches wide. This sounds like a basketball player's foot because it's like a size 11 or 13 size.
Right. It's
foot.
Huge.
It's huge. But if you look at it compared to like a quote unquote normal man foot, it's normally like a size 10 and it's like double the size. And I'm like, well, well-known basketball players are known to have very, very large feet.
But also if they're wearing, protective shoes, then, and it's giving the impression, like, so that way, like, walking through mud, larger area.
Right.
It would make sense.
Right. And I mean, there's those things also like barefoot shoes, but I mean, like
Hmm.
the shoes that they came out with ages ago where it would protect the feet, but there wasn't a lot of bottom. It
Yeah.
molded to the feet after a certain
Hmm.
amount of time because of the wearer wouldn't wash the shoes. But
Right.
we get into that. Some footprint casts have contained claw marks, making it likely that they have come to know the animals such as bears, which have 5 toes and claws.
Hmm.
Ecologist Robert Pyle argues that most cultures have accounts of human-like giants in their folklore history, expressing the need for some larger-than-life creatures to exist. Each language has a name for the creature featured in local version of such legends. Many names meaning something like wild man or hairy man, although other names described common actions that it is said to perform, such as eating clams or shaking trees, which are things
I
that
mean,
bears do.
true.
European folklore traditionally had many instances of wild man of the woods or wild people, often described as a naked creature covered in hair. Excuse me. With only the face, feet, and hands, and in some cases the knees, elbows, or breasts, remaining bare. These European
Head,
wild
shoulders, knees, and toes.
head, shoulders, knees, and toes, knees and toes. Um, these
Sorry.
European wild people ranged from human hermits to human-like monsters.
Interesting.
Upon migrating to North America, myths of the wild people persisted, with documented sightings of wild people reported in what is now New York State and Pennsylvania, which is where we get the other more cold common Yeti,
Right.
which was transferred from Europe. Many of the indigenous cultures across North America continent include tales of the mysterious hair-covered creatures living in forests. According to anthropologist David Degling, these legends existed long before contemporary reports of the creature described as Bigfoot. These stories differed in their details regionally and between families in the same community and are particularly prevalent in the PNW.
Okay.
Chief Michelle of the Nalaka Pumucks at Lytton, British Columbia, told the story to Charles Tout in 1898. Members of the Lumi tell tales of creatures known as, I'm really sorry if I am mispronouncing any of these, I do apologize, Tessemeques. The stories are similar to each other in general description of said creature, but details differed among various family accounts concerning the creature's diets and activities. Some regional versions, my God, versions. I don't know. They might be virgins. We don't
We
slut
don't
shame
know.
here.
We don't assume.
The Stayaha and Kiwikaya were a nocturnal race, and children were warned against saying the name so that way the monsters would not come and carry them off or be killed. So it takes us back to Lala
Yeah.
and Women of Water. The Iroquois tell of an aggressive hair-covered giant with rock-hard skin known as the Otni Yarhi, or the Stone Giant, more commonly referred to as the Ginoskawa. In
Bless
1847,
you.
thank you. In 1847, Paul Kane reported stories by natives about Skokums, a race of cannibalistic wild men living on the peak of Mount St. Helens. Teddy Roosevelt, in his 1893 book, The Wilderness Hunter, which I have read, it's kind of cool, writes of a story where he was told of an elderly mountain man named Bauman, in which he was described as foul-smelling, bipedal creature who ransacked his beaver trapping camp, stalked him, and later became hostile when it fatally broke his companion's neck. Teddy notes that Bauman appeared fearful when telling the story, but attributed the trapper's German ancestry to have potentially influenced him to tell the story.
I mean, it would make sense.
Right. But we talked about, between us, about how Bigfoot was probably a trapper.
Yes.
So, North American settlers started reporting sightings during the 1800s and the 1900s with occasional findings of footprints. Sporadic encounters grew and fairly a few grainy photos and videos added to the mystery. Those who claim to have seen Bigfoot have described everything from a large upright ape to an actual hairy human, sometimes standing over 8 feet tall, described as powerfully built. Guys, if you live in the middle of nowhere, you become jacked.
Right.
Because you have to lift everything and build everything on your own.
Well, and if you have packs on your back, it makes you look larger and, kind of swooped forward. So that way the head is kind of leaning forward.
Yes.
But also, like, being hairy, fur trappers. You have the furs on you, which makes you look hairy.
Right.
You're going to be smelly because
you have to blend into the environment.
Furs.
Right.
Well, the furs and, you're keeping yourself relatively clean, but the smells of your environment obviously get to you and it soaks in, and there's not much you can do about it.
Not really, no.
It sounds like smokers always smelling like cigarette smoke.
Right.
Because it's in their pores.
It's in their clothes, it's in the walls.
Yeah.
So those who claim to have seen Bigfoot, they talk about him, right? So the debate and the research continued online once the internet became really, really big. Entire organizations exist to study and document Bigfoot and prove its existence, and groups regularly search the Northwest woods looking for proof. So we're going to talk about some stories.
Yay!
So
we love story time.
Story time with Rach and Kat. So,
a little sound clip.
Yep. In 1958, Jerry Crew, a bulldozer operator for a logging company in Humboldt County. By the way, if you guys don't know what Humboldt County is, there's a lot of people out there wearing ghillie suits because that's where the marijuana operations are. That's what Virgin River's based off of.
Oh, wow.
So Virgin River doesn't exist. It's a false town. But where they shot is just outside Humboldt.
Okay.
So that lake does exist. It's a real place. It's out in Humboldt County. And it's near Big Basin, and it's quite beautiful. It's quite relaxing. They really do have a lodge out there. It's not the same name, but I mean, it's small little towns,
Right.
Well, there's a lot of like wood processing.
People just want to be left alone.
Yeah, a lot of people live out there in the middle of nowhere, don't want to be talked to. So,
right.
Anyways, he discovered a set of large 16-inch human-like footprints deep in the mud near Six Rivers National Forest. Beautiful place, if you ever go. Great camping spots, but be careful of bears.
Obviously.
Upon informing his co-workers, many claimed to have seen similar tracks on previous job sites as well, and telling of odd incidents such as an oil drum moving from one area to the next, weighing 450 pounds without explanation. Nobody moved it, nobody touched it.
Interesting.
The logging company soon began using the word Bigfoot to describe the culprit.
Of course.
Crew and others initially believed someone was playing a prank on them. After observing more of these massive footprints, he contacted a reporter at the Humboldt Times newspaper. This reporter interviewed lumber workers and wrote articles about the mysterious footprints, introducing the name Bigfoot in relation to tracks and local tales about large, hairy, wild men. They prefer to be called bears, guys. We're inclusive here. So, a plaster cast was made of the footprints, and Crew appeared holding one of the casts on the front page of the newspaper in October 6th, 1958. The story spread rapidly, and the reporter began to read correspondence from major media outlets like the New York Times and the LA Times.
Holy shit.
As a result, the term Bigfoot became widespread as a reference to apparently large unknown creatures leaving massive footprints in Northern California and Southern Oregon. So, Many regions throughout North America have different names for Bigfoot, which we already talked about. So Canada has Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. has a few different ones, known skunk ape in Florida, like you said. The
Depends on the
grass,
region.
right? The grass man in Ohio. The Fook monster in Arkansas. The wood booger in Virginia, which there is a wood booger museum. It's very, very small. The monster of Whitehall in Whitehall, New York. The Momo in Missouri. The Honey Island swamp monster in Louisiana. Dewey Lake monster in Michigan. Mogollon monster in Arizona. The Big Muddy monster in South Illinois. And the Old Men of the Mountain in West Virginia. The term wood ape is also used by some as a means to deviate from the perceptive mythological connotation of the term Bigfoot. Other names include Bushman, Treeman, and Wildman. Those names were actually taken from the Australian connotations.
Okay.
From Bushman. Which I thought was kind of cool because that put me in another rabbit hole. So, we do love rabbit
As it does.
Yes. So, Grover Krantz and Jeffrey Bourne are Bigfoot proponents. They love Bigfoot. They believe that he could be a relict population of an extinct Southeast Asian ape. Say that 20 times fast. Species Giantopithecus blackie. According to them, Blackie could have followed many other species of animals that migrated across the Bering Land Bridge to the Americas back in the day. To date, no fossils have been found in the Americas of this. In Asia, the only recovered fossils have been of mandibles and teeth, leaving uncertainty about the Giantopithecus blackie locomotion. They also argued that it could be bipedal based on the shape of the mandible. But they did talk to Jane Goodall.
Okay.
Before she passed.
Who is an expert on
Yes.
apes and primates.
Yes. She was asked for a personal opinion of Bigfoot in a 2002 interview with National Public Radio's Science Friday. If you guys haven't heard of Science Friday, I had PBS growing up and we had National Public Radio.
Right.
Because my dad's truck only got one station. So Goodall said, well, now you'll be amazed when I tell you that I am sure that they exist. She later added, well, I'm a romantic, so I always want them to exist. Of course, the big criticism is this. Where's the bodies? You know, why isn't there a body?
Valid.
I can't answer that. But maybe they don't exist. But I want them to. In 2012, when asked again by Huffington Post, she says, I'm fascinated and would actually love them to exist. Of course, it's strange that there has not been a single authentic hide or hair of Bigfoot, but I've read and researched all accounts. As far as the summary of evidence for Bigfoot, it would exist if the creature itself existed. If Bigfoot was around, so would consistent reports of uniform vocalizations throughout North America, as can be identified, for an existing large animal in the region, rather than scattered and widely Bigfoot related. If Bigfoot existed, so would many tracks that would be easy for experts to find, just as easily as the tracks for other rare forms of animals in North America, rather than a complete lack of such tracks. Finally, if Bigfoot existed, an abundance of Bigfoot DNA would already have been found. Again, as is similar for other animals instead of current state affairs where there is no confirmed DNA.
I mean, she's not wrong.
No. Do you want to know about the alleged encounters?
Yes.
So, in Fook, Arkansas, in 1971, a family reported that a large hair-covered creature startled a woman after reaching through a window. This alleged incident caused hysteria in Fook and inspired the horror movie The Legend of Boggy Creek in 1972.
Of course it did.
This report was later deemed a hoax. In 1974, the New York Times presented the dubious tale of Albert Ostman, a Canadian prospector who stated that he was kidnapped and held captive by a family of Bigfoots for 6 days in 1924, and they later determined
it was a lie.
That was a lie. In the early 1990s, a 911 audio recording was made public in which a homeowner in Kitsap County, which is in Washington, called law enforcement for assistance with a large subject, described him by being all in black, entered his backyard. He previously reported to law enforcement that his dog was killed recently when it was thrown over a fence.
Okay, but that could have been like any kind of things.
Right, which I do have a note. Anthropologist Anthropologist Jeffrey Meldrum notes that any large predatory animal is potentially dangerous, specifically if provoked, but indicates the most anecdotal accounts of Bigfoot encounters result in creatures hiding or fleeing from people. I, too, would flee from people.
Exactly.
And
I, too, run away.
Right. In the 2021 Hulu documentary series, Sasquatch, describes marijuana farmers telling stories of Bigfoots harassing and killing people within the Emerald Triangle region, which is where Humboldt is, in the 1970s through the 1990s, specifically the alleged murder of 3 migrant workers in 1993. You and I both know that's not the case.
I call bullshit.
I do too. The investigative journalist David Holthouse attributes the stories to illegal drug operations using the Bigfoot lore to scare away the competition, specifically superstitious immigrants, and that the high rate of murder and missing persons in the area is attributed to human actions and not inhuman actions.
Shocking.
In 1994, the U.S. Forest Service Ranger Paul Freeman, a Bigfoot researcher, videotaped an alleged Bigfoot he reportedly encountered in the Blue Mountains of Oregon. If you haven't gone, they're beautiful. Do not go during fall or winter, though.
Because they are dangerous.
They are very dangerous.
As noted in our what was it? Shit. Dahmer.
Yes!
No, Dahmer. Donner party.
Donner Party.
I was like, Dahmer party.
Yes, in Donner Party, which was an earlier episode.
Yes.
So the tape is often referred to as Freeman footage, continues to be scrutinized and authentication debated. Freeman had previously gained media recognition in the 1980s for documenting alleged Bigfoot tracks claiming the possession of dermal ridges, which is the knuckles.
Yeah.
Little ridges on the feet. In May 1966, Lori Pate, who was on a camping trip near Washington State-Canadian border, which is beautiful out there, but methods! Lots of methods!
Of course.
Videotaped a dark subject reported encountering running across a field and claimed it was Bigfoot. The film, dubbed Memorial Day Bigfoot footage, is often depicted in Bigfoot-related media, most notably in the 2003 documentary Sasquatch, Legend Meets Science. In his research, Daniel Perez of the Skeptical Inquirer concluded that the footage was likely a hoax perpetrated by the human in a gorilla costume. Which I do have a picture of. Do you want to see it?
Of course.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Boop.
I love the subtitle on it. Wasn't this a hoax?
Right, because it looks like a
It just
man in a
looks
gorilla
fake.
suit.
God, it just looks so fake.
So, in October of this last year, 2023, a woman named Shannon Parker uploaded a video of alleged Bigfoot to Facebook. The footage went viral on social media accounts and was shared numerous times on news publications. Parker reported that she and others observed the subject while riding a train on the Durango and Silverton narrow gauge Railroad in the San Juan Mountains in Colorado. Of course, the authenticity of the video was debated across social media, and skeptics on Reddit, we love our good old Reddit, speculated that it was a publicity hoax perpetrated by an RV company located in the area called Sasquatch Expedition Campers. Took me a second. The company has since denied allegations.
Of course they did, because they got found out.
Right. So there's a lot of claims about origins and characteristics. Also crossing over with other paranormal claims like UFOs and aliens. They all think, all the skeptics think that it is a cover-up by the government. Stating that there have been appearances and disappearances of people since 1969 in these big forests. Guys, I hate to tell you, as somebody who is a big believer in the paranormal and big believer in things being out there, I'm not a big believer in aliens. However, 1969, in Northern California, Washington, and Oregon,
there was all kinds of serial killers.
Right. There was also the big band instruction. Why did my brain went instruction?
I don't know.
I need to wake up more. God, Woodstock. 1969 was the land of the free type of area, and that's where a lot of the drug trade started, was in northern Washington. These people have been around for decades in that area, and it's just commonplace. If you live in California, honey, if we were still in California, what is one area of California you would avoid? And where you don't go camping. You can't go camping there. Where would you not go camping?
Gotta be a little more specific.
Right? Humboldt, right? Yeah.
You had to think about it for a second.
Well, if you're homeless, if you're living out of your car, or if you're homeless and you want to go camping, because camping is cheap in California. I think it's like $10 or $15 a day, which isn't bad. They don't care. As long as you're off property for 2 days, you can come back and rent the same campsite.
Right.
But so, let's see here. There's, well, excuse me.
Welcome back.
Thanks. So, let's see here. So, we talked about origins and everything like that. We talked about, stories and everything where it's from. You want to hear about the other hoaxes?
Yes.
Okay. So, July 9th.
Some good hoaxes.
Oh, yeah, me too. July 9th, Rick Dyer and Matthew Whitten posted a video on YouTube claiming they had discovered a body of a dead Bigfoot in forest of northern Georgia, which they nicknamed Rick Matt. Tom Biscardi was contacted to investigate this. Dyer and Whitten received $50,000 from Searching for Bigfoot Incorporated, because if you find traces of Bigfoot, you get a reward.
Right.
The story was covered by major news outlets, including BBC, CNN, ABC News, and Fox News. Right. Soon after a press conference, the alleged Bigfoot body was delivered in a block of ice in a freezer with a Search for Bigfoot team. When the contents were thawed, observers found that the hair was not real, the head was hollow, and the feet were made of rubber. Dyer and Whitten admitted that it was a hoax after being confronted by Steve Kulls, the director of SasquatchDetective.com.
Shocking. I'm surprised he didn't have to give that money back.
He did?
Oh, good.
In August of 2012, a man in Montana was killed by a car while dressing as Bigfoot in a ghillie suit.
Dumbass.
In January 2014, Rick Dyer came back. Said that he had killed Bigfoot September of 2012 in San Antonio, Texas. He claimed to have scientific tests conducted on the body, from DNA tests to 3D optical scans of the body. It is a real deal. It's Bigfoot. Bigfoot's here, and I shot it, and now I'm proving it to the world. He said that he had kept the body in a hidden location and he intended to take it on tour across the United States in 2014. He released the photos of the body and a video showing a few individuals' reactions to seeing it, but never released any of the tests or scans.
Of course, because they were fake.
Allegedly. He refused to disclose the test results to provide biological samples. He said that the DNA results were done by an undisclosed lab and could not be matched to identify any known animal. He then stated that he would reveal the body and tests on February 9th, 2014 at a news conference in Washington University.
But never did.
After the tour, the Bigfoot body was taken to Houston, Texas. And in 2014, March 28th, he admitted on his Facebook page that his Bigfoot corpse was yet another hoax. He had paid Chris Russell
Color me surprised.
Right. So, of course, this guy, his name is Chris Russell. He's a huge prosthetics guy. He runs Twisted Toy Box. It manufactures props made out of latex foam. But this one was particularly made out of latex foam and camel hair. And he nicknamed this guy Hank.
Interesting.
Dyer earned approximately $60,000 from this tour for his second Bigfoot corpse. He stated that he did kill a Bigfoot, but he did not take the real body on tour for a fact that it may be stolen. I don't like this guy.
Right.
He's a con man. In April of
100%.
2022, a man in Mobile, Alabama posted photos that he claimed were of Bigfoot on his Facebook, indicating the Mobile County Sheriff's Office validated their authenticity and a team from Finding Bigfoot was dispatched. The photos circulated on social media, attracting the attention of NBC 15. The man later admitted that they were an April Fool's Day hoax. Because it's April of...
Right. Guys, be smarter than this.
On July 7th of 2022, excuse me, wildlife educator and media personality Coyote Peterson. That's their legit name. I did look it up.
Interesting.
He claimed to have excavated a large primate skull in British Columbia and smuggled it to the United States. BC is not in the United States. It's in Canada. Further claiming to have initially hidden the discovery due to concerns of government intervention. The post then went viral, garnering the attention of multiple scientists who dismissed the finding as likely a replica of a gorilla skull.
I mean, to be fair.
Right. Darren Naish, I'm sorry if I mispronounced the last name, a vertebrate paleontologist, stated, "I am told Coyote Peterson does this sort of thing fairly often as clickbait, and that this is a stunt done to promote an upcoming video of theirs. Maybe this might be taken as harmless fun, but in an age where anti-scientific feelings and conspiracy culture are a serious problem, it really isn't a good look. I think this stunt has backfired." In a follow-up video, Peterson claimed that the situation was staged as a hypothetical example of what not to do in response to such a discovery. The more you know. Shooting star. Bigfoot and its likeness is a symbol of the Pacific Northwest and its culture, including the Cascadia movement. Two National Basketball Association teams located in the Pacific Northwest have used Bigfoot as a mascot. Squatch of a now defunct Seattle Supersonics from 1993 until 2008, and Douglas Fir of the Portland Trailblazers. Say that 20 times fast.
Interesting.
The legend of Bigfoot was selected as the official mascot for the 2022 World Athletics Championships held in Eugene, Oregon. But there are laws.
Good for Eugene.
Right. There are laws and ordinances regarding harming or killing Bigfoot. In the state of Washington in 1969, a law was passed that criminalized killing a Bigfoot making the act a felony.
I like that.
Upon conviction, was punishable by a fine of up to $10,000 or 5 years of imprisonment. In
Good.
84, the law was amended to make the crime a misdemeanor, and the entire county was declared a Sasquatch refuge.
Oh,
Huh?
cool.
Right.
Well, that's cool.
Whatcom County followed suit in 1991, declaring that county a Sasquatch protection and refuge area as well. In 2022, Grays Harbor County, Washington, passed a similar resolution after a local elementary school in Hockwim submitted a class project for the Sasquatch protection and refuge area to be granted to them.
Oh, that's adorable.
I love that. So, not only is it that, Sasquatch is a popular character in media and entertainment in addition to a number of horror films that was inspired. It also led to a lot of comedies such as Harry and the Hendersons and Sasquatch Sunset. If you guys haven't seen Harry and the Hendersons, it's great.
It's wonderful.
There are also frequent topics of books, which we talked about on the episode with Em and Meg.
Yes.
Romance novels. So I Married a Sasquatch is a thing.
Stop romanticizing everything.
Last but not least, there is a trail in Northern California into Oregon called the BigFoot Trail. This is where a lot of the people have seen, quote unquote, Bigfoot. It includes traditional, ancestral, and present homelands of a number of indigenous nations, including the Karuk, the Tuwala, the Yurok, the Chimukra, the Shasta, the Wintu, the Yuki, and the Namalaki. These lands were taken from these communities during an extended period of forced removal and genocide that has had far-reaching impacts, yet these people have been and continue to be stewards of these lands. We honor and acknowledge the strength and resilience of these communities that came before us and are with us now, and the future indigenous people of this area. The Bigfoot Trail Alliance, as an organization, is still working to uncouple the organization from this unjust history and welcomes the opportunity to learn about the community. So, the people who own the land are trying to dismantle the ownership.
Okay.
And
give it back to the...
Yeah. The research that I found, they're trying to give them back to the actual tribes of the area. So that way
I
they
love
can
that.
take it back. It is still a national forest and a refuge. The Pacific Crest Trail briefly coincides with the Bigfoot Trail in the northern Marble Mountains Wilderness and the North Sayade Valley, which is the edge of the Red Buttes Wilderness. So it was originally proposed by Michael Kaufman in 2009 and a suggested route to navigate the Klamath Mountains from south to north along the biodiversity of the Klamath Mountains range. And that is Bigfoot, skunk ape, and Sasquatch.
Oh boy.
Ta-da!
We learned a lot today.
I lived in California a good chunk of my life. I have traveled quite a bit. I do have to say, Northern Californians, Oregonians, and Washingtonites love their Sasquatch stories.
Oh yeah.
There's even a Sasquatch cafe.
Oh nice.
It's like a diner, and they have the Bigfoot burger and Sasquatch sliders.
Oh nice.
Delicious. You ever want like a greasy burger?
Yes.
That's where you go.
It's a little far for me to travel though.
I know. I discovered it when I was driving. Like I was going to my friend's house up in Oregon, and then same friend moved to Washington. Different person. You know, I know like 4 people that live in Oregon, but I mean like
you have friends everywhere.
I do. It was so funny. You have friends everywhere. Yeah, I know.
What's hilarious is that growing up, we were always warned to beware. Don't make friends on the internet. Be wary of strangers on the internet.
What do we do?
The majority of my friends are from the internet.
Well, it's really funny because like I met her on LiveJournal 20 years ago, I want to say.
Oh, wow.
I'm still friends with her. She's amazing. She has like a commune out there. She's a huge hippie. And if I wanted meat, I had to go into town to get dinner. And I stayed with
Right.
her for like 3 or 4 days. She's an amazing person, but she was the one who told me, she goes, I believe in a lot of things. I mainly believe in science, and I believe in self, and I believe in spirit and everything like that. I do not believe in Sasquatch. And I was like, okay, I don't either. But I mean, she goes, no, my husband believes in Sasquatch. And he has this like whole men.
Shrine.
Yeah. Of just, I love her.
Oh,
She's
man.
great.
She's the sane one out of the two of them.
Listen, there's always got to be one,
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But it's one of those things where you're just like, man, like how many people,
Too many.
But I mean, if you have any stories or anything like that and you guys want to share, like we have comments for that reason. They're always turned on. Definitely let us know and everything like that.
Oh, yeah.
I had a great day.
Good. I did too.
I had fun.
Always.
Stay feral.
Bite the hand.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Next time on the Pandemonium Witches, it is not pronounced Samhain or Samhain. It's pronounced Samhain.
Or Sam Hine.
I
Like
hate
some
you.
shows we know.
Samhain. Oh my god. You have to be 21 or over in order to drink in America, but only 8 to summon demons?
Yes, because a Ouija
Ouija
board
boards.
is for 8 and up.
Bitches don't use Ouija boards. During the 19th centuries, candles were lit in homes of Ireland, Flanders, and Bavarian Tyrol, where they were called soul lights, that served to guide souls back to visit the earthly homes. People saw this take an uptick during World War II, where people would place them in the windows after they found out that their loved ones